Howdy, folks. Today we're talking about the part of the Industrial Revolution that didn't end up on those pretty museum plaques. I'm talking about child labor in them soul-crushing cotton mills and the cotton gin that turned innovation into the biggest monster truck running over human lives. Let's start with Eli Whitney and his infernal little box of genius, the cotton gin. In 1793, Whitney's down visiting a plantation in Georgia, and he notices that the enslaved people are working their finger to the bone trying to get seeds out of short staple cotton, 1 pound a day if they're lucky and don't pass out. So he tinkers up this cranky contraption with teeth brushes and a crank, and boom, one person can now clean 50 or 60 pounds of cotton a day. It gets patented in 1794, and the South loses its ever-loving mind. Sounds like progress, right? Cheaper cotton, happier British mills, more dresses for everybody? Wrong. It lights a match under slavery's tail. Cotton production explodes. From 3,000 bales in 1790 to almost 5 million in 1860. Plantations spread across Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. More land needed, more slaves needed. Domestic slave trade turns into a horror highway. Families torn apart, children sold downriver like livestock. Folks marched for hundreds of miles in chains just to feed that gin's endless appetite. Eli Whitney thought that he was helping with efficiency. Instead, he just supercharged the slave economy. King Cotton wasn't just a nickname. It was a throne built on broken families and blood-soaked fields. Now swing the spotlight up north and across the pond to Britain, where all that cheap southern cotton landed in the hungry mouths of the textile mills. And who kept the machines running? Children. Tiny, cheap, replaceable children. In the peak years, from the 1790s to the 1840s, children as young as 5 worked 12 to 16-hour shifts. They made up 10 to 30% of the workforce in some of the mills. But why children? Well, their tiny fingers could fit into tight spots to fix jammed looms. They worked for pennies, sometimes a sixth of what an adult would get. They couldn't strike, and they couldn't complain without getting whipped. The air was filled with cotton fluff. They had black lungs by the time they were 12. And the machines were so loud that some kids went deaf. Windows were nailed shut to keep threads from snapping from dry air. It's crawled up underneath the machines to try to fix the broken threads. They lost fingers, scalped scalps, and crushed limbs. Fall asleep on the job, the overseer's strap, or a cold bucket of water in the face. Many lived in barracks in the factories, and they were overcrowded and dirty and lice-ridden. The life expectancy in mill towns was 10 years shorter than in the country. In the post-Civil War American South, white mill villages popped up doing the same damn thing. By 1900, there were 25,000 kids working in those southern textile mills, many under the age of 12. Same long hours, same dangers, same excuses. It keeps the families together, and they learn to discipline my foot. Reformers finally started hollering. Albert Owen in Britain, Michael Sadler, kids as young as 9 testified about being beaten till they bled, starved, and mangled. Sadler's report was so brutal that Parliament couldn't ignore it forever. So the 1833 Factory Act said no kids under the age of 9 and 9 to 13 years old could only work up to 9 hours. But the enforcement was spotty, and real change crawled in real slow. In 1847, the 10 Hours Act for women and teens was put into place, but kids kept working until early into the 20th century. Progress didn't just happen. It was paid for in little fingers and gears, families ripped apart, in auction blocks, and lungs turned to coal dust. The Industrial Revolution gave us trains, telegraphs, and cheap cloth, and also nightmares that haven't been fully reckoned with. Progress rode on the backs of the babies and the broken hearts of the enslaved. And we're still paying the interest.